Here, take a little peek. Up, they look like some good eggs we got under there. So we're gonna pull her off these eggs. We're gonna pull these eggs. Actually, I might just pull the eggs out, leave her here for now, and then we'll candle those eggs. What's up, snake fans? Dave Palumbo here for Muscle Serpents Daily, and today's gonna be a great video because I got a package in the mail. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You guys are gonna have to wait and find out and see what I ordered, my latest purchase. You're also gonna get to see my friend Paul Miller brought over some more stuff for me to house at my place, and hopefully at some point in the future we'll do some breedings on these things together and share the babies. So that's exciting. I love to get new stuff, and because it's new stuff I can then show you guys, and we can watch it and see how it progresses and develops and grows, and that's what's exciting. I also hear from Cliff, who's taking Pablo's place this week, that we have a clutch of eggs. So I don't even know who laid the eggs or what they are, but we'll take a look at that as well. So lots to discuss. Let's get cracking now. All right, a little peacock mating action out there. This is my, it's not really mine, it's the neighborhood's pied female and her little baby. Let me see if we can try not to scare them. There's the pied. I call it a pied, I don't know if it's a pied. It's definitely not an albino. It doesn't have red eyes, but definitely a pied. And then this is like a little, like more of an immature male because he doesn't have the big feathers, but he's got his feathers out. He's looking to breed, this guy. So he must be sexy and mature, but the older peacocks have the big, huge, fanned out feathers. But let me see if I can sneak out the door here without scaring them away. They'll probably run away, but let's see. My pool has become the new mating ground. So here's the pied. I think that's one of them. This is the mother. That's the baby who looks like just as big as the mother now. And there's one of the males. The lighting's terrible here, but you can see that it definitely has a pied coloring. Usually they're multicolored. This is white and black. I can only imagine with the male. We haven't seen any males that are pied yet. So we have two females, the mother, and then we had a baby. And then this little guy is like, I think this might be his first year of maturity, this guy. Yeah, you're spreading your wings, huh? Spreading those feathers. Everyone who comes to my house loves the peacocks. And like I said, they don't belong to me. They just kind of belong to the neighborhood. Ah, we're staring into a tub filled with reptisand. Why is that? Well, I made a purchase. Yep. Legendary snakes. Thank you so much for my purchase. And if you guys look real carefully, buried in the sand, you're going to see what I purchased, or one of what I purchased at least. Ah, what is this? What is this? That is a very cool Kenyan sand boa. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Holy mackerel. I'm so psyched. We have another one here, look. Let's see if we can find this other one. Ah, look at that one. Whoa. Well, let's go back to our original one first before he buries himself. This is our male. This is an albino paint. So the paint is recessive, albino's recessive, and he is also het for ANERY, which we know removes reds, or aneuphoristic, which is really what it stands for. And he's also het for splash, which is another recessive trait in Kenyan sand boas. And these are babies, obviously. They're less than a year old, and they love to bury themselves in the sand. So I have them set up here with some reptisand, and I'm gonna put some coconut core in with this as soon as it dries out a little bit. I had to add some water to it. They really like very dry environments. So you do not want to have a lot of moisture. The only moisture you want is a water bowl so they can drink. But they will bury themselves for most of the time. This is a our female in here. Let me see if I can find her. Where did she go? She was just right here. And, oh, here she is. She is a snow, which we know is an ANERY albino. And she is also a visual splash. So she's a splash snow, which is kind of cool. There she is. I don't know if this camera's picking up so well. There we go. Okay, so she's got removal of dark pigment, she's got removal of red pigment, and then she's got that recessive splash gene in her as well. And she's very cool looking. The idea at some point in the future would be to grow these guys up and breed them. And obviously, there she goes, burying herself in the sand. That's what they do. Sand boas, they're like the little creatures in Dune, those big, huge worms. All right, that's what they look like. Always wanted to get a pair of these. So I finally got them. The great thing is that we can breed the paint albino to this, its head splash and head ANERY, to this girl. And we can produce potentially albino ANERYs, which would be snows, that are also paint and splash. That's the goal down the road, much, much down. Right now, we're just gonna enjoy these things. And I'll show you as they grow. So I think they're eating pinkies now. We'll continue to feed them. And thank you, Legendary Snakes. All right, now, here's something you guys haven't seen. This is from my good friend Paul Miller, who gave me the black water dragons. I'm taking in a couple of his tree boas, something I do not have in my collection. And we brought him over here. Actually, Cliff, my good friend Cliff now, who's been helping out since Pablo's gone. He's been cleaning. He's been doing an awesome job. Thank you, Cliff. Cliff set these guys up. And this is a patternless tree boa, which is pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever seen one of these, which no pattern. Cliff says he's a little, he likes to bite. So we'll try to stay out of his striking range. But he's a little on the bigger side. He's got some really nice colors, really light green too. I really like the way he looks. We have him set up here with a nice little perch system, and then when he gets a little bigger, we'll put him into the focus cubes that I have for my green tree pythons. I think he'll do great in there, but he's a little on the small sides now, so I'd like to keep an eye on. I want to make sure he gets enough heat, and I want to make sure he eats. So that's him. Now, the thing I'm really excited about is because I really wanted a pair of these, and so now, because Paul and I are doing this little, like, I'm taking care of his animals type of thing, breeding loan, I guess you can call it, although it's a long-term breeding loan project. Here's an Amazon basin tree boa. So this is something that I think was on my dream list. I just wasn't pulling the trigger because they're a little on the expensive side. Paul had gotten a pair of them, and this is a juvenile, obviously still with his juvenile colors, and he's got the oranges still going on in him. This will eventually turn completely green with obviously with the white patterning will stay there. It's kind of like a barbed wire patterning. I know all the different Amazon basins have different like names. Sometimes they're called barbed wire, sometimes they got diamonds, and they have all kinds of different, once again, pattern recognition names. This one's kind of cool. We got it set up with like a little perch here and a water bowl. And there's some heat on the ground if it wants to heat itself up after it eats. And we're gonna let these guys acclimate. I believe this is the female. It's again Amazon basin and emerald tree boa. I think I said just tree boa before. These are emeralds. Amazon basin, emerald boas here, tree boas, and you can see that, like, once again, that barbed wire patterning that they're so known for. These guys get pretty big too, and they got some pretty big teeth from what I understand. So not that it ever stopped me from holding, snakes. I don't mind getting bit. It's beautiful. This one looks like it's got a shed a little bit. So we'll probably let's spill some water in here, and we'll create a little humidity down here. It's a good way when you're doing it on paper towels. You just can get the paper towels wet, and that'll give the humidity so when they do shed, they'll get a nice shed going. Beautiful. All right, finally, it's been a couple weeks now. We finally got another clutch of eggs. Cliff, who's been cleaning for Pablo this past week, discovered it earlier, and this is a good one, let me tell you. This is this female sitting on these eggs is an ENCHI HYPO hurricane. So ENCHI being incomplete dominant, HYPO being recessive, hurricane incomplete dominant, and then she is 100% het for rainbow, which is one of my favorite projects. And I bred her back to her son, which is the ultraviolet. If you guys have been following my rainbow videos, he is an ENCHI HYPO super hurricane visual rainbow. Obviously this breeding can yield a lot more of the ultraviolets and possibly a super ENCHI form of that. We're gonna see what she has here, take a little peek. They look like some good eggs we got under there. So we're gonna pull her off these eggs. We're gonna pull these eggs, actually I might just pull the eggs out, leave her here for now, and then we'll candle those eggs. All right, just giving you a little view of the papa. That's the ultraviolet male, who looks even beautiful even in adulthood. He is a HYPO ENCHI super hurricane, also known as a Hayabusa visual rainbow. We're breeding him actually right now to a HYPO pied. Try to get that rainbow into the pied project. She's a little on the small side. She has given us a clutch before, so hopefully we can get something from them. I don't want to disturb them too much, but that is Papa Ultraviolet. All right, look at this clutch we pulled from her. That is pretty cool. That's 9 eggs right there. One of them had a little pinhole in it. I don't even know where it came from. I don't know if it was when I separated the eggs or what. And I put a little Scotch tape over it. I put a little red mark there to let me know that egg was leaking a little bit, and we'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully, you know, because it's on the upside, that it's not going to really affect anything. Hopefully, you know, a lot of people have told me about the Scotch tape trick. I've done it before. Sometimes you can even use some liquid Band-Aid on there too, if you want. But that Scotch tape trick seems to work every time. So we got a little Scotch tape on it. Hopefully that'll keep that nice and sealed off for the 60 days that these eggs have to incubate. They all had vessels in them, so I'm pretty excited about that. Obviously, I'd love to see some more visual ultraviolets being produced. So good job, Mama. Good job, Dada. We got what looks to be a good spread here. And you know what? 50% of the babies are going to be rainbows, you know, statistically speaking. So we should do pretty well here. Everything's going to be HYPO because we're breeding HYPO to HYPO. We're breeding ENCHI to ENCHI, which could give us some super ENCHI stuff, which I'm hoping for. And we're breeding super hurricane to hurricane. So 50% of the babies are going to be super hurricane or Hayabusa too. So that's really encouraging. At least, in the very least, everything will be at least hurricane. So this is going to be a good clutch, assuming it goes to term and everything hatches. All right, here's a really nice kind of ultraviolet. I think it is. This is definitely HYPO ENCHI hurricane rainbow. I'm not sure if it's a super hurricane or if it's a Hayabusa, which would be the super hurricane or a single copy hurricane, but you kind of get the same effect still. I think it might be the super. This breeding was actually a het rainbow to het rainbow. Both were hurricane, both were ENCHI, both were HYPO. So we might have actually hit a super ENCHI here. This looks super ENCHI because it's got a pinched head. I have a feeling this is super ENCHI hurricane, single copy, HYPO rainbow. So I think this is something a little different than what we normally produce. We normally produce the ultraviolet, which is the super hurricane, but with only 1 copy of ENCHI. I think this is 2 copies of ENCHI, but only 1 copy of hurricane. But you can see all the great purples in there. I'll show you an ultraviolet in a second, but this one came out really nice. This was a different litter we did earlier. This was the last litter of the year, actually, of 2022. Haven't really shown you these guys in a while. I'm gonna have to list some of these guys because I know a lot of people are asking me about getting into the hurricane rainbow project. All right, now this is a different, from a different clutch. This is actually an ultraviolet. This is, you can see the hurricane is really strongly expressed here. That's because that's a super hurricane. That's ENCHI HYPO, and Rainbow. This is what I call an ultraviolet. Once again, 2 copies of Hurricane, 1 copy of ENCHI, the recessive HYPO and the recessive Rainbow. And you get this really purpley snake. And this little boy, I thought he was sold. I think someone gave me a deposit on him actually last year, and I haven't heard from the person. Hopefully they'll contact me and finish paying him off, because he's growing up really nicely, this little boy. And pretty soon I'm not going to want to let him go. I'm going to want to start using him for breeding, because he's looking that great. And super high expression. You can see when you combine the Rainbow with the Super Hurricane, you get some really dark purples in here. And the head is always like a light yellowish color, and just a lot of busyness going on in the pattern, and that's what we really love in ball python breeding. We love colors and we love busy pattern. All right, here's the sister to that little boy I just showed you. We'll end with her today. She is a ENCHI, HYPO, Hurricane Rainbow. I don't think she's 2 copies, because you can see the Hurricane is definitely there, but it's not quite as busy as we saw in the little boy. It could be possible Super Hurricane, but I would call it, I'm calling it Hurricane for, if I sell this girl, purposes, because there's no reason to. I'd rather under promise, over deliver, you know. But she's still exquisite. I call this ultraviolet territory for sure. Beautiful. Here's my first ultraviolet female I produced. I produced her back in 20. I hate to say it, and she's going on 3 years old. This August she'll be 3 years old, and she's still kind of small. She's a gingerly eater, as we say for some reason. We're trying to breed her, actually. We're going to breed her to a hypopide. Once again, I really want to get Rainbow into the hypopide project, and so we're breeding the male to a hypopide female, and we're breeding the female to a hypopide male to kind of hedge our bets a little bit. I don't know if I don't think she's gonna go. I think she's too small, and she just hasn't been eating enough. But, you know, sometimes you want to put a male in with a female, because sometimes that gets them eating, because they kicks them into like breeding behavior. So we'll see. I'm not expecting anything from this this pairing, but if something happens and she starts eating, then great. Maybe later in the year we'll get something from her. And just to show you the diversity on what Hurricane does to Rainbow, this is a Super ENCHI HYPO Rainbow. So no Hurricane in here whatsoever, no copies of Hurricane. And you can see, and this is obviously an adult, so she's got some, you know, she's changed quite a bit since she was born. She looked like a banana when she was born. She had that kind of, a lot of purples in her. And as she got older, she got more yellows in her. But you can see that the darkness kind of goes away, and it's still a really cool looking rainbow combination. But the Hurricane definitely adds another dimension, I think, to this. We'll use her because we can, you know, I want visual breeding female rainbows, because that's going to be easier to mix other genes into it, so that we make sure that all the babies are, you know, 100% hets. So if I breed a clown, or if I breed a pied, or something else recessive to this combination, I know that everything that it's going to produce is going to be 100% het rainbow. And that's important, because it makes it a lot easier when you're trying to breed hets to hets. At least if you know if they're 100% hets, you're going to have much better odds than if you're doing pos hets, which you might get nothing on. So that's what we're using some of these rainbow girls for. She's spectacular. I'll show you one more before we wrap up. All right, now here's another rainbow combination that we kind of are taking in a different direction. We're going for a lighter looking rainbow instead of darker. So we don't, now this obviously is a visual rainbow. You can see the beautiful red eye on this one because it's so light. It actually has ENCHI in it. It could be actually potentially Super ENCHI. It's got butter, which lightens things up, and which butter and lesser are pretty much the same thing. And then it's got the HYPO gene in there as well. Now the question is, does it have Hurricane? It might. The reason we don't see Hurricane swirls is because lesser, which is butter essentially, unravels Hurricane a lot. And so that might be messing it up. So I put down possible Hurricane. But you can see, I really love the way this girl came out. I mean, she's, like I said, she's got a beautiful red eye. She's got a really, really light body, and it's such a clean look to her. And she was really cool looking when she was a baby too. So I'm looking forward to breeding her. I haven't even decided what I'm going to breed her to yet, but we might add some more hurricane back, and we might put the ultraviolet to this girl just because I think that she'll look even crazier with some more pattern into her with that clean look. I don't know. Or we might go a different direction and go even something with, you know, maybe go some leopard, blackhead. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Probably might even go someplace with like some kind of clown, dark clown. I think that might work well as well. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's videos. Yep, I got sand boas. First time. I've been wanting sand boas for a long time, and I just haven't pulled the trigger with them. And I don't know. I just said, finally, you know what? I was looking at them on Morph Market, and I said, you know, I really want to get into the sand boas. If I wait any longer, I'm going to regret it. 3 years from now, I will say, hey, I could have had sand boas 3 years ago, and I could be breeding them now. So I said, all right, I pulled the trigger. I got that Splash Snow female, and then we're going to breed, obviously, at some future point to that male, which was an albino paint that's het for Splash and het for ANERY. So it's actually also 66% het for Gene X, but, you know, that's a long shot. So, sand boas in the sand, burrowing, and we will keep an eye on that. Like I said, I'm going to make a little bit of a mixture with some coconut core that I have drying out right now. I had to wet it to kind of loosen it up because it comes in these big blocks, and I'm going to mix that in. So it kind of gives it more of a soilish appearance. Sand looks cool with the sand boas, but they really can't burrow too much in the sand. They seem to do better with a little bit of soil in there, but they just like it really dry. So you don't want to be putting wet coconut in there because it's going to increase the humidity too much, and they just don't like humidity. Also, obviously, we got those Amazon basins. Man, I've been dying for a pair of those. I can't tell you how long. So that's going to be fun to watch those things grow up. And then we get that patternless emerald Amazon. It's not a basin. I think it's just an emerald tree boa, but it's patternless. So that's really cool. Although I hear Cliff tells me it's a little on the bitey side, but we'll tame it down, or at least we'll try, and I'm sure we'll get bit a few times doing that. And then, of course, another ultraviolet clutch. Can't go wrong with that. So it was a good day at Palumbo's Pythons and Boas. Some days are bad days, some days are good days. This turned out to be a good day. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, show us the love. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, hit that like button. I'll see you back tomorrow morning.